Today we will discuss our school's acceptable use policy. Discuss what an acceptable use policy is, why is it important, how does this apply to us, how we can implement it in our classrooms for ourselves as well as with our students. Acceptable use policy is also referred to as AUP. So, what is an AUP? An acceptable use policy is a set of rules and guidelines that should be followed by persons accessing technology while a part of a specific organization. Now that we know what it is, why should schools and districts have one? Well, acceptable use policies protect students and staff from harmful content in a way that does not interfere with the educational, teaching, and learning environment. In other words, it's a policy put in place to keep us safe and to keep students safe as the internet has access to just limitless things. Now, I wanted to take a minute to get a little more specific. Our AUP here at Channelview ISD, it's located in our code of conduct. So it's located in our student handbook. Our policy it's outdated and it's vague, but it's one that we use at our school, which is elementary. We also use the same one in the middle schools and in our high schools across the district. Our AUP also discussed the importance of keeping students safe online. It discussed being a great digital citizen, and how students should handle certain situations on the computer as well as professionals. So then we may think about how our school's AUP should be communicated. So district personnel will let staff members know through professional developments. And then campus personnel will let parents and students know through parent orientations before students arrive. During that time, parents can sign an agreement so that way we know most of the parents and students had an opportunity to listen to what an AUP is and why it's important to have one, and they will at that time agree to the AUP. But once students come to school, teachers will review the AUP with students. So when we are doing our rules and procedures during the beginning of the school year, we will have to make sure that we include the acceptable use policy and explain to students what it is and why it's important. Teachers, how can we implement this as teachers? We will implement it first through professional development. And in that professional development, we will have scenarios, because sometimes we may read the policy, but we need to see what it's like in an authentic experience. So those scenarios will bring those policies to life. Once we understand those policies, then we will sign the agreement and accept the policies. I believe I will provide you with a cheat sheet of technology do's and don'ts so that you have just some common reminders of what to do and things that we should not do on the internet. Of course, it's important for us teachers to understand how to implement an AUP and how we can use it to keep us safe at work. But more importantly, how can we help those students and how can we implement the acceptable use policy with students? First, just like for us, we have to explain the AUP and its purpose. Students must understand the purpose. So many times we ask them things and their question is, why? Well, we will explain that, an AUP is to keep you safe and to block harmful content, so that you're not exposed to things that are inappropriate and that we should not be looking at. We will also model scenarios that promote digital safety. So we have to discuss with those students about being good digital citizens. So the same things that we do in class that may be right or wrong are the same things that we should and should not do while we are accessing the technology. Then students can act out scenarios that have been created by them. So once we explain the expectations and the purpose and, the do's and don'ts, then they can make their own scenarios and share them with each other in the classroom during the times that we're talking about rules and procedures. And of course, this will be ongoing throughout the school year as a reminder every day before they're getting on the computers, while they're on the computers, just so that we can make them conscious of making good decisions while they're using technology. And of course, finally, we will have those students also sign an agreement that has been viewed, the same agreement that their parents signed. Students will sign one that's written more on a student-friendly level. Here's just a list of references and things that were used to create this presentation. And then that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to see how you implement those acceptable use policies in your classrooms.